It was big, wasn't it? It was about that big. Ridiculous.
Child. Literally a child.
Do you want your first of your 5 hugs? Hang on, you've just got a little bit of lipstick there. Oh Christ, we're live.
Oh. We're trying to have 5 hugs a day. But yesterday, because 5 hugs a day apparently is what we need for a relationship, this is what we were talking about yesterday, but we got everyone to do this, Mark. Put your arms right the way round. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. And then just gently rock back and forth. Just everyone just give themselves a hug. Just for a few seconds. Don't camp it up, just do it.
Not camp it up.
Yeah,
I'm not, I was about to say, I feel claustrophobic.
No, somebody said yesterday you look like you're in a straitjacket.
I'm so stressed. Oh my God, that was really unpleasant.
It's lovely. We did it yesterday, didn't we, guys?
It wasn't lovely.
All right, well,
because
don't
of
do
my
it so
pecs.
tight. Do it more gently. Don't do it so tightly. Just hug yourself. Close your eyes.
I can't do it. I can't think.
Oh, for God's sake.
How do you put your arms?
Fine. Put one arm here.
Think about it.
And then one arm here.
Okay.
Okay. And just be gentle, self-soothe.
I've got my arms crossed, really.
It's a good job you got me to hug you. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
How are you? How are you doing? Let's have some one words. How are you doing? Mark, one word. How are you doing today? Just really check in. How are you actually feeling? Because people say this all day long to people. How are you? And everyone just says whatever they think people want them to hear. How actually are you?
On edge.
Oh. I thought you seemed quite good today. A little bit speedy.
Yeah, I'm faking it to make
good.
it.
Oh.
Positive, Linnea Oki. Blessed, says Myra
Oh, I
Instance.
love that.
Kushti. That's a good word. Joanne Connolly. I used a word the other day which I love.
Dale.
Mosey.
Dale.
Emma
False
does
information
like.
expressed. Tired but content. Content. That's a good word.
Vicky Waiting, rough. It is good.
Do
It's
we
a nice
think
word.
enough about contentment? Do we think of content as something... I don't think it gets enough attention, content.
Contentedness. Is it contentment?
Contented.
I'm
Yeah.
contented.
I mean, I was talking about this yesterday. I was doing a podcast. Oh, it was so lovely. I don't know if any of you, ages ago, I had to give out a prize. It was such a lovely job to give out a prize on Amanda Holden's radio show. And it was this lovely woman, and she wanted in her 60s to change loads of things in her life. Anyway, she won the competition, and one of the things she won was podcast equipment.
Wow, fantastic.
So when I gave her the prize, I said, "Oh, well, I'll be your
First guest.
I'll be your first guest."
Aww.
Anyway, that's a couple of months ago, and yesterday
You did it?
I did the podcast.
Oh,
It was
nice.
her first ever podcast, and it
Aw.
was so lovely.
What's it called?
It's called something happiness, but
Okay.
I'll give you a link when it comes up. But and we were talking about happiness.
Nice.
And we're saying, that it really, for most of my life, I was like, oh God, am I happy enough? And I really have come to understand that happiness is moments. It's just moments. Because unless we only have moments of happiness, how do we know we're happy? And like when you're young, you think, oh, I'm not happy because you weren't happy all day. And, it's just, the day is a journey through so many things, tension, anxiety, contentment, happiness.
But by and large, most people hit happiness, don't they?
What do you
At some
mean?
point.
Yeah, a moment.
I think you see one
And
of the
you do. You don't think you do,
No.
but you
But
do.
one of the fraudulent things about being a parent is that we think we need to give the kids unbridled happiness.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying yesterday on this podcast. And I said, I say to the kids now, happiness is not there all the time. It's moments. And then I think that's the way to find contentment. So, when you talk about mindfulness, it's such a huge topic.
I find it intimidating.
But I think it's about, say there's a moment, who was it that felt content? Say there was a moment that I felt content today.
Elaine Denning says content equals not in need of anything.
Yeah.
Great word.
So it's like, I definitely have many moments in the day where I feel content. But what I try and do is rush away from them because I panic about that. And so I move on to the next thing. And I think it's, that thing that the only thing is constant is change. So it's like, oh, okay, just sit with it for that minute.
Maybe that's why when I was younger and I masturbated, I punched myself in the face straight afterwards.
Mark!
I talked about it on our podcast.
I know, but
So they're...
suddenly put masturbation into a conversation about feelings. Or can you? Oh, it's a different kind of feeling, Mark.
No, I know, but I think contentment is one of them. And then quite quickly, it's like, I need to feel hell and pain. And
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's just like, I
Lee,
think
here he is, Mark's back in the building, sorry.
it's because I was boring him.
No, you weren't. No, I think we are unexpected.
No, so you were getting bored, so you went to masturbation. Yes, you were. Just be honest.
Not the only reason I go there. No, but we've got quite philosophical quite early. I like that.
Well, you didn't get bloody philosophical. You went to your penis.
No, it's incredibly philosophical to me. It's all about pain and agony. It's about joy. It's about the yin and the yang, as someone said. Is it yin?
Yin and the yang,
is it yin
man.
and yang, or is
It's
it
the
yin?
yin and the yang. I remember when we all went through that age, didn't we? Where everything we bought had to have a yin and yang on it.
Is
and
it
a key
yin?
ring with a yin and yang. I had a...
You say yin and yang. Is
That's
it
'cause that-
yin and yang?
No, it's yin.
Or is it yin and yang?
Yin and yang. Yin.
I've got a dear friend who I only know on the street that we live on, and she's Buddhist, and she emanates goodness.
Yin and yang.
Do you know her? You know the woman I mean.
Yeah.
She emanates utter
All that she's ever
goodness.
doing, whenever you bump into her, is goodness for somebody else.
Goodness.
She's like a good witch, isn't she? Because she just pops up.
She's my guardian angel.
She's just amazing. Zoe, you've always said to me, Naz, that happiness is just moments. So true. Have I? I do repeat myself, Zoe.
But
But
do you
if we
think?
actually think about
Okay,
that.
well, let's go a bit more deeper on this. Do you think that maybe one of the reasons we all struggle with some aspect of mental health is because everything is screaming at us to try and be happy all
yeah.
the time?
Because
And we all fall
there
short.
is money to be made out of that.
Yeah.
You know, you need this new dress to be happy. You need this pair of shoes. You need this facelift. You need this holiday. You need this wellness weekend. You need this. Everything that is to do, that can give you the shot of happiness, is so easy to commercialise, isn't it?
Do you know what I was thinking? You know, all our sort of ideas for a couple does. I think we should. I wanted to do this years ago. I want to go on a journey to explore the different ways in which different people find happiness. I just think it would be interesting, whether it be humming, whether it be slapping.
Okay, without too much thinking, give me something that gives you a moment of happiness almost every day. And don't get us back to masturbation, Mark.
No. It's usually anything filmic. I love it. I could talk about it. I could make it. I could watch. You know what I mean? I just make it. I am at my happiness creating. Happiest creating.
Ellie says exercise. So, coffee. Laurel says, is it not coffee?
I mean, I like exercise, but for me, it serves a purpose of escaping this.
Giving back gives me happiness.
Yeah, that's lovely. Being of service.
Being of service, it's a wonderful thing. That's what they call it in recovery speak, being of service.
Yeah.
And being of service without somebody necessarily knowing, oh, Ethan, we didn't watch Succession because the girls wanted to watch.
Can I just...
And you know what? Do you know what? A moment of complete contentment I had yesterday when we were all sat down together watching Married First Sight Australia.
I love that.
And I sat there and I thought, and nobody had their phones. It was about 5 minutes when nobody had their phones. And I was like, our girls really do love sitting with us and watching stuff with us.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody gets that with their teenagers. And I had utter contentment. I did.
Yeah.
I was so joyful. And yesterday I had lots of really happy moments because I know I was being silly and annoying with Dina, but it was just so nice. I felt really childlike with Dina yesterday. We were just being so silly.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I had lots
I think happiness for me is also attached to, what's that lovely phrase you use? You're only as happy as your least...
Youngest child. No, you're only as happy as your unhappiest child.
So I'm happy when my girls are happy. And nothing delights me more if I see that they're, or I sense
Julie.
that they're
That's
in a good place.
Anyway, that was our little warm-up.
Oh.
We always do a warm-up. Is this your first time to Coffee Morning? We do a little warm-up before we start talking about the news, especially if it's a heavy news date.
Well,
which we haven't gone for heavy news
No,
today,
but we have to pay reference to something. Now, there was a competition in, not this weekend's, but the previous weekend's live Curly Cooks of Croydon. And it was to win £30 voucher to a supermarket of their choice.
No, not of their choice.
Okay. Can you remember where?
Oh, it can be because it's just one. Yeah, it can
And
be.
so the winner is a name that I haven't seen too often. So I hope she sees it here. We're obviously going to post it on the community page and all that sort of stuff. So it's Marcella Rolesu or Rolsu. Marcella Rolesu, spelled Rolesu. If you see this, if you're here, maybe a quiet sub, send your send your email to Michelle, and we will get a digital e-voucher to you.
And this Saturday's Curly Cooks, guys, check it out because we're going to do it a full-on Easter special.
Wow.
So it will give you ideas for Easter, because we were going to do it next Saturday. I said to Dina, it's a bit too late then because people can't get the shopping in.
Absolutely.
So this Saturday, I'm going to show you how to do the easiest lamb. That's so delicious.
You're going to do anything Eastery in the Sunday show? No. That's all right. Doesn't matter. We're doing it in Curly Cooks. Lee Dorrant, can't wait. I love the Curly Cooks. Congratulations, Marcella. Absolutely. So if Marcella, if you see this, well done you. The first thing I think we have to just pay some kind of reference to is the shooting in Nashville. God. Anyone here from America? I know. Sending all our love. A friend of mine who has a child in America, just for anyone sending their children to schools in America, it's a stressful thing. You've got a friend out there that said she literally doesn't want her child to go to school. Yeah, no, she posted today. It really frightens her. Really frightens her.
She's an ex-student.
Yeah, 6 killed. Well, no, transgender.
Oh, is she?
So I think we refer to her. I think it's a he.
Ah,
I think it's a he.
I haven't seen that in any single article I read.
Yeah. So 3 children and 3 staff. By all accounts, when they investigated their car, there was a map, there was a manifesto. This was planned. This was properly planned. And once again, they shot the school was locked. This is the thing about it that's chilling. The school doors were locked, padlocked or secure, and they shot through the locks. And then, rather tragically, there is footage of them walking about the school. The police did manage to shoot them though.
I saw a really, really sad picture, and God, America, those in power, look at that photograph. It's a very small child. She looks about 6, and she's looking out of the window and she's screaming because everyone behind her has been shot. And Fat Sean King was saying today, in the UK, they had the shooting, the Dunblane shooting, and immediately there were very strict restrictions put on, and he just put it in capitals. There has been no more school shootings since in the UK. I mean, when are they going to do something in Australia? I think as well.
After that Tasmanian shooting, the gun lobby, gun ownership reduced, but since subsequent it's increased again. Yeah.
That's a great movie to watch, guys.
It's called Nitram,
Stunning.
Nitram.
Very,
Martin
very
backwards.
upsetting though. So.
Yeah, quite distressing. 122 mass shootings in the USA this year. Susan Doody, mass shootings. That doesn't include shootings, mass shootings. So this is tragic. Just all our sort of thoughts go to Nashville. Yeah. One of the other stories that I thought was kind of like a nice story, but also one, do you have, or have you had, the experience of knowing you have a long-lost relative, or you've met a long-lost relative, or you've suddenly discovered that you have a long-lost relative? Because this is the David Jason story. I'm going to just do a poll, Neds, if you want to just pick that up just for a moment.
Yeah.
Have you had experience of long-lost relatives?
Yeah.
Have you ever discovered that there's someone in your family that you didn't know?
Well, no, but somebody in my family did discover that they had a long-lost daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because, it's
look,
like
so many yeses coming in. Wow.
It's like you have...
Three half siblings.
You have siblings out there. And I always find, because you're such a curious person, like every single thing that happens, you've got 25 questions for it. Partly why you're so clever, but partly why you're very annoying as well, because you always go to the nth degree of everything. Yeah. And yet, I find it so out of your character that you don't have any questions about that.
Well, the weirdest thing about...
It comes from fear, I would imagine.
I don't know.
What if you meet up and you don't like them?
No. I think it comes from I don't know where it comes from, if I'm honest. I think it comes from, I don't know.
It must be a place of fear.
No, it's not fair.
Oh, God, how interesting. All the time I've been with you, that's what I thought it is.
Yeah, but you never asked.
Of course I am.
No.
What do you mean I've never...
No,
what do you make out that I wouldn't care?
I don't. No, that's not what I'm saying. But it's not the kind of question necessarily that comes up because I so don't talk about it as a thing.
No, but when you have alluded to it, you've said you're worried because... I mean, I don't want to say it in case it's not what you want to say, but what you've alluded to has made me feel that you have fear about that.
No. I mean, I think it's tied up with a confusion around my father. And again, I don't want to talk about that too much because he's out there.
That's why I'm treading carefully.
Yeah, and I think it's a sort of realization that what me and my mum did and went through together is my life, and it's, I don't know. I'm not curious. I'm not
See,
curious.
if it was me, I would be extremely... I would have a mixture of things. What if it's somebody that's so horrible that I then have them in my life? But then what if it's somebody that I would just connect so brilliantly with, and that would be, that would be the push me, pull me. Do you take the risk of the worst case scenario? Of course, there could be somewhere in the middle. Would you have to reject the fear that you might have to reject somebody? Could you open wounds for somebody else that you've then got to patch back up, or could they open wounds for you? It's a Pandora's box, and once you open it, you can't bloody close the lid.
I'm going to answer some of your questions in a minute, some of your comments in a minute. I think part of it is to do with, I feel I've got enough complexity to the family that I've got. I feel I'm not going to be searching for anything for myself. I'm not necessarily, and again, I think because of my limited experience of making contact with someone, what I felt was being asked of me, I didn't like. And I feel there's enough to be thinking about with my daughters and my mother, and I don't want to be thinking about any more.
Yeah, so
especially if there's no historical connection.
But that's what I was talking about. That's always what I've felt, and I felt that is a fear, that it could be that whoever you make contact with could then become a burden, and you've done a lot of looking after in your life. So that's what I felt it is. But also, you have a teeny, weeny family.
Yes. But family is about experience, time together, shared experiences, companionship.
You can't just make a family after
trauma,
this time.
overcoming trauma. I don't want to it's been an incredibly difficult but personal journey with my mum. My mum had a child when she was 15. I mean, if she, and I often talk to her about it, so it's not like I don't want to know. And I've often asked her, would you be interested, would you like to? And she's very clear. She's like, no, she doesn't. And I don't know whether there's an aspect of...
Do you like that?
What?
That she doesn't.
Do I like it?
If you dig really deep and you go to the child in you, does that feel nice that she just wants you?
I think there was a time where I probably liked it, but no, I don't. I mean, I think, as my mum... Sorry, Mum, if you're watching this. I think as my mum gets older, I'd have thought the questioning, the wondering will become more acute for her, and I would support her if she wanted to go that route. I mean, I genuinely think. I mean,
I can barely look after the family I have already. This is it.
There's an
I think
aspect of
people
that.
we immediately go to, how much will I be looking after? But we don't know whether it's like that old thing, what if it's as bad as this, or what if it's as good as this, that maybe that person could be a support that you've never had. But it's the fear of it being the worst case scenario that stops people, I think.
I wanted a bit more mothering or whatever, whatever that was. Sound's gone. Buffering. Oh, we're frozen. Hang on one second. Is that better? Are we back? Just one second.
Oh, look, Debbie Clero, my
I think
newly
we're
found
buffering.
sisters are amazing.
We're
Clero.
back. We're back. Sorry,
Debbie Clero, my newfound sisters are amazing.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think that whole series is about the joys of reconnecting. And and making
Yes,
contact.
Michaela, she
I
did.
do. I say, okay, here's my thing. I think it's wonderful when it's good for everyone, but a little bit like the sort of so-called taboo of women not wanting children, I almost feel like people think I should be excited about it. And the only people in my life around my father who've been most excited about that have been, bizarrely, partners. And I think if my partners hadn't been so keen, that contact wouldn't have been made either.
And I think, well, I don't know your ex-partners, but I would imagine that was because they could, when you think how, I mean, you've come so far with your mental health, but clearly you've always been very sad. You know, and they wouldn't have known at the time that they were with you about your bipolar and all of this stuff. So they probably thought maybe with more connections, you would, because that's what I've certainly
feel a bit more
thought.
grounded.
Yeah, and that loneliness in you that you have, that's just in you, which I now realise isn't actually about not having brothers and sisters, it's about something else. But I can understand why, you know, young girlfriends would have thought, oh, maybe this would be something that would really support him and you know, feed him. So, but nobody should fix anybody.
No.
That's the thing. If you're looking to be fixed, that's where it all could go really wrong. So if you're in a strong place, yes, life could be enhanced. But anyway, David Jason is very happy about it.
David Jason's very happy. Grania Scarlett, my mum was adopted, born in a Magdalene laundry. Really? Wow. Desperate to help my mum find her family.
Wow.
The issues, she's related to a well-known person in Ireland and she's not known about.
Oh my God.
Okay. Blimey. I think I would feel the same. Mark, Linda, Tyler wouldn't want to let strangers in.
Yes, you see, that is the thing. They are a stranger, aren't they? You don't know what they are, what sort of person they might be.
Elaine Denning, some people feel blood really matters. Others believe blood means nothing. You see, I think blood matters. But I think there may be lots of people here for whom connection, you know, foster parents, stepchildren, you know, adopted children, all that kind of stuff. You know, family is something more than just blood.
So what about this? What about if you heard that one of your siblings was very like you, like their absolute passion was anything to do with film, that they travelled, they like to travel to Morning Lee, I'm going to call you later. Sorry I couldn't call you. Everything went tits up after I spoke to you. I'm dying to hear your news. What about if you heard about them and there were so many similarities, like shared interests and passions? Wouldn't that be deliciously tempting?
No.
Oh.
But I'm not interested in meeting someone necessarily. You know, when people in relationships say, oh, I really like him, he's just like me.
No, not like you, but the same interests.
No, because I think I just think there will be more complications than joys.
Yeah, so it is fear. It's all about the fear of how wrong it could go.
I think
that's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maritata Ziluri, one of my friends was in love with me and my mum told me he's my second cousin. So if you live in a small city, you have to be aware of that.
Oh my God.
Wow. Something. Hi, Tez.
When I met my full sister, this is Vicky Waiting, we are...
identical. Did the same things, loved the same things, and we still do. It was crazy, but we fell out for years over parents.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you see, I think, I don't know. Yeah. Let's have a look. How many of you have had... Oh, right, okay, so 50 of you of 207 votes have had some experience of long-lost relatives. Wow, that's
quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. David Jason is united with a child that he had back in 1970. So that's quite something.
Morning, Taz. Morning, Rebecca. Tez, sorry.
Yeah.
Morning, Elle. Morning, Linda Lovell. Morning.
Sonia Donovan. Okay, size 0 is creeping back into our lives. I've got to find the article down here. Fashion's focus on Y2K. Now, I looked up what Y2K is, and this is sort of year 2000 and onwards obsession with certain kind of slenderness in fashion. I think in fashion it's a sort of term for just recent trends. It's very odd. It's very sort of rubbish.
Well, the girls are always saying they want clothes from 2000, year 2000. Yeah, they say that a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe this is around the 2000s. People will
Yeah, 2000s. It's so 2000s. That's what it is.
Year 2K, year 2000. Well, there you go. Didn't take too much to work it out, did it?
I have to say, this hasn't bled out to our girls at all. This skinny thing. It's all still about, oh, I'm not big enough. It's the complete other way with them.
But do you think this is the case? Do you think there is a return? I mean, a lot of people are kind of assigning it to Kim Kardashian's Marilyn Monroe dress. I can't see how that can be singularly responsible for everything. Obviously, the weight loss drug, Ozempic or whatever it is.
Well, first of all, the Kardashians are a huge influence. And they are all very thin at the moment.
Right.
Well, actually, no, the one that keeps licking her.
Size 0 is Twiggy size. Keeps licking. Oh no, the boyfriend.
She's gone more like happy and just and she looks great actually, but the others are very, very thin, very, very thin with very huge butts, which is just very confusing for young girls because it's like, I'm telling you, when you say. You can't have a bum that big and be that thin. You just can't. It's just not possible because you can't spot reduce fat. So this is what worries me, is that are we going to go to super skinny now, but everyone's got to have a huge butt as well? But it's not just the Kardashians, or to say it's just the fashion world. It's everything everywhere. I mean, look at what we were all talking about last week with oh God, what's her name? Vagina candle.
Oh, Gwyneth
Paltrow.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, they talk about her article.
Last week, all the stuff about the bone broth. So the wellness industry.
Do you think that's a problem?
I think it's a massive problem.
Yoga and everything, do you think is a problem?
Well,
do you think everything?
No, I think just influence comes from everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing is the Ozempic injections.
Yeah.
These diabetic injections. So there's every kind of person that was never slim is now incredibly slim.
Do you think part of this trend for removing fillers and everything like that is also part of it? Because everyone's going for a gaunt look now.
No, this is the bulkal fat, this pad of fat that we all naturally have. People are having it removed.
Yeah.
So that they look sunken.
Yeah. I love this comment here. Laura Dion, most women's skeletons wouldn't allow size 0, only if they were very ill. Victoria Moore, oh no, not the size 0 thing again. I'm naturally really small and I get such a hard time with this. I mean, one of my girls is very, very tiny and she gets really frustrated with the constant inference that that there's some kind of desire to be like that. I think, so, some people's metabolisms are naturally like that.
I mean, all my life I always said, oh God, I used to say it as a joke, but I meant it. I was going, oh God, if only someone would call me gaunt. I used to say, I used to do it in a very theatrical way. If only someone would say you've gone a bit too far. This was my thing. But I meant it. I mean, even now when people say, oh, I'm really sorry, should I say this? But I'm sorry if I offend you, but have you lost weight? I go, you haven't offended me. It's my favourite thing to hear. It is in there. It's so deep in there. I'm working on it all the time, but I still love that feeling of losing weight.
The Pups Don't Lie asks a very simple question. I don't understand what size 0 means. Does it literally mean that when I look for clothes for you when I'm shopping, there's 12, 10, 8, 6? Is it literally size 0? Is there a size 0 or is it just a term?
No, we've never had it here. So basically, in American sizing, if you're a 14... a 12 is a 14 in America.
Right.
So if you're buying American, so a size, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, the lowest we go is to a size 4. Is that right? Or do we go to a size 2? So in America, that would be a size 0.
Ellie Denning says it's a size 2. American size 0.
See, I've never seen a size 2.
It must be about that big, no? Sort of.
Is that...
tiny.
But the other thing about this, when we have these conversations, I just feel so sorry for people that are naturally size 0. Because everyone starts talking about how disgusting it is and how, and you don't want to see the bones and you don't want to see... Well, you know what? I actually do find very skinny bodies where somebody's clearly not starving themselves. Just a beautiful body, just like I can find a really, really big body beautiful. We've got to be cautious that we just don't talk about that sizing as totally negative.
Yes.
Because I do, I've got a couple of people that really, really naturally thin. One of my friends, she eats so much. And I remember seeing her before I got to know her and thinking, I wonder if she's got an eating disorder. She hasn't at all. She bloody loves food. She's just naturally that thin. And actually now when I've seen her with no clothes on, I just love looking at her body. She's got a stunning body. You can see her ribs and everything. But it's just different, you know.
Sandy, I think if you're the mother, I think also, well, crucially, I think if you're the father too, you have to watch how you talk around your kids if you have your own issues.
Oh,
with weight.
100%. If you're talking about your body
Yeah.
and you're worrying about the Kardashians influencing your child on Instagram, you are the biggest social media influencer to your children because they're with you all the time.
Even if they're
And
angry with you and hate you and sort of slamming the door, it's going to be picked up.
And Mark hasn't done as much work on his dysmorphia, getting better, but you have said so many times in front of the girls about
myself, but then because I haven't connected that self-attitude to them inheriting that or thinking like that. So I get it. It opens up a line of thought that you shouldn't do. But in terms of commenting on your kids, I think fathers have to really, really, really step carefully as well. Just quickly, should we leave that one?
Yeah, we'll do that as a bigger subject.
Okay, I just want to, what is the other one then? Oh, banning begging. This story is part of Rishi Sunak's sort of zero tolerance. And I've asked the question, should begging be banned? And you're split down the middle at the moment. This is a curious one. People have very contrary sort of opinions on this. And me and Nadia have had different opinions on this over the years. And I don't know. It's really difficult. It's really, really difficult because what's happening in London, and I think that's what this law is targeted at, is there are organised gangs that essentially control groups of beggars in London. And for example, London Bridge is a clear example of that. It's obvious people are essentially in some kind of slavery almost as they go on the streets and beg. I think there are so many dubious ways in which any handing of money to a beggar can end up damaging someone's life, rather than actually the handing of money is more about making the person walking past feel better about themselves than necessarily helping the person in question. I think that's what I think. Discuss.
Oh God, this is so complicated. We've got a huge problem with homelessness. And the first thing that this government says is we're going to ban begging. Yes, there will always be some people that are not genuinely people in trouble, but also there will be people that genuinely can't eat. I mean, so many people on the streets and young people are people that have run away from hideous. Years ago, I used to work on the door at the Piccadilly Theatre, and I used to talk to a lot of young people around there that were doing things like, you know, prostitution and begging, and all of them had run away from homes where they were being sexually abused. Everyone I spoke to was. And sometimes they were absolutely starving and cold and hungry. So I think about those people that I've spoken to. Now, some of those people that you give to are enslaved. They are still people that are in a horrible situation.
No, I agree. No.
So again, we go back to, you are just covering things up, Rishi Sunak. So yesterday you were talking about within 48 hours, society will get justice by graffiti, by getting somebody in a suit to wipe that graffiti off. We want justice. We want those gangs targeted. We want something done about the slavery that is going on. Every town and city in this country, there are slaves. Modern slavery is a huge problem. So again, it's just like a headline to make people go, oh, they're really doing something.
I totally agree with that.
Where do those people go that are enslaved? What are they going to do next? Are they going to be put into a brothel? Are they going to be put into... You go down, you know, I always do this. When we're driving around sometimes, I look into like houses and I think, what is going on in there? What is going on in there? Because when you see these programs about people just trafficked and just these girls locked in these rooms, and I go to that place.
No.
Let's just sweep them off all the streets. All right, where are they going to go then?
No, absolutely. I think the answer, I mean, a lot of people here are saying I give them food or drink or what have you. I mean, a couple of times I did that and it was thrown on the floor. And so, you know, and it's really tricky because it's that thing of, if you do give money and you've got no way of knowing whether they're part of an organised gang, you're right. in giving any money, I suppose they're going to have something split and given to them. So there's something there. I mean, this law is
Or
very
not
much
beaten
about...
up because they didn't make enough.
We don't necessarily know that isn't happening
But
either.
that's what I mean.
But I mean, the point is that I think things have changed. This sounds ridiculous. I think begging has changed, certainly in London. I think it's almost been industrialized in some areas. I mean, and I can think of all the tourist spots where you really can feel it organized, because the positionings of lots of people in there's a strategy there. Back in the day when I was younger, there were very often people, and more often than not, if I saw a young woman or girl, begging, I would always give them something. I mean, someone made a really interesting point there. No one has any change anymore.
No,
I mean, especially
I
since
always
the
give to
pandemic.
people, but I never have any change.
Jacqueline Clements, really good point. You have to ask them what they want. If they're genuine, they're normally nice and appreciate a chat. Pink Lady, do they spend it on drugs? I take drugs if it numbed me in that position.
Well, this is what I get so annoyed about when people go, "Oh, that will be going on booze." I'm sorry, if I'm living on the street, the terror of living on the street, I'm gonna want a whiskey. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't have a problem with it at all.
Let's have a look. You're split
I
down
have
the
a problem
middle.
with the fact that we have such a terrible situation when there's so many people. Like,
there's so many
just
empty
up our
properties,
road, tower block after tower block, empty bloody flats. I mean, can there not be some sort of system? Do you remember when COVID, when they put all those people into places and then they've kicked them all out after COVID? Yeah.
Well, there we go. Look, 44% say yes, it should be banned. 56% say no. Okay.
Banned with a backup plan
Yes.
of what you're going to do about the root cause.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just putting a plaster on it.
Yeah. Okay,
And they'll
guys,
pop up somewhere else.
we're going to talk about narcissism tomorrow. So there we go. So guys, have a lovely day.
And tonight we will be posting Agony Aunt and Uncle. So if anyone's got a problem they'd like to share with Mark and I, we'll put the link under here. So we're recording that this afternoon. And there's 4 episodes up at the moment if you want to have a listen to them.
I think they're right, yeah.
And a thank you to all those people that send us these lovely emails after we've answered your problem. And honestly, we find them really, really meaningful to us.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. But if you have got a problem you want to share with your aunt and uncle, in the link.